A short horror story. The Lines. Joanne Briggs was a much-loved person in her community, happily married to a successful surgeon, and having 2 daughters which she was very proud of. Their names were Lucy and Gemma. At this present time, they were both getting ready to go to college. Joanne doted on them as much as she could, because she loved them dearly. Life couldn't get any better. They lived in Sayreville, California, and it was always sunny. Or this was the idea she wanted to perceive. Deep down her insecurities were growing day by day. Recently, shallow lines had appeared on her face. At the age of 39, Joanne knew she wasn't that old, but the prom queen, from long ago, was losing her looks fast, or that's how it seemed to her. At first, Joanne thought it was just her imagination playing tricks. Then tonight, her husband came home from work later than normal. She had made him dinner, his favorite by all accounts. He ate it reluctantly. The enthusiasm on his face said it all. Joanne tried to make polite conversation with James, but it fell on deaf ears. Why was he acting like this? Had she upset him in some way? Was he losing interest because his wife now looked haggard, while he carried on looking perfect, with his perfectly tanned skin, his muscular frame, his perfect smile? He didn't even look up, while she headed to the bathroom. Inside, the light from the ceiling shone on her face, causing every line to seem deeper than usual. The lines were everywhere. She touched her face and felt them under her fingers. What could she do? How could she get rid of them? In the hallway, she heard a door shut. It sounded like her husband was heading to bed, which was ideal for what she had in mind. Joanne thought back to the last time they'd made love, and this didn't help her insecurities at all. If anything, it only made her feel worse. It had got so bad lately that even walking into a room, everyone staring at her, then the lines would burn her skin, and this would make her cry every time she was away from prying eyes. Beside the mirror was a little cabinet. Joanne opened the glass door, and on the second shelf, just above her husband's deodorant and shower gel, was a pot of anxiety pills. Her doctor had recommended these the last time she'd visited, as he said this would improve her mindset. Picking up a glass from nearby, she swallowed 2. She realized it would take a little time for them to kick in, and knowing they were now in her system, caused her to feel more relaxed. She stuck on some bright red lipstick, as her daughters were staying round a friend's house, and was going to make the most of having James all to herself. Lately, not knowing if it was her imagination or not, Joanne felt like James was not interested in her anymore, and who could blame him with her haggard face? Her mind slowly began to feel better, while the negative thoughts faded away. Joanne unbuttoned her blouse, so the top of her cleavage was uncovered, then proceeded to the bedroom area. She walked in, saw him on the bed, while he read a book, and joined him. She rubbed his chest with her hands, knowing he liked it. James looked at her with disgust, then said, "What's got into you? I've been at work all day, so I can pay for your lavish lifestyle. I'm just tired. I didn't mean to be rude." "Sorry, darling." He turned his back on her. What had she done wrong? "James, what's the problem?" she asked. The tablets didn't seem to be working any longer, as a dark cloud entered her mind. "Don't you fancy me anymore?" He didn't answer, and this made her feel even worse. Early part of next week, they were hosting an annual dinner party. This was something Joanne had been dreading for a long time now, with their happy faces, pretending their marriage was perfect. When really all she felt was that the lines on her once beautiful face had destroyed everything. The next couple of days, Joanne suspected her husband was having an affair, as he was acting suspiciously around her. Her children were busy attending their new college, and in the evenings, they would go out with friends. So the house seemed quiet, empty. Also James was spending less time at home, saying he was busy at work. Deep down, Joanne suspected him of seeing another woman behind her back. This didn't help the anguish she was already experiencing, so the next day, Joanne decided to follow her husband, to keep an eye on him, just in case he was up to no good. The dinner party was tomorrow night. How could it get any worse? Joanne waited outside of his workplace, keeping a watchful eye. She didn't like doing this, but felt like she didn't have any other option. She loved her husband very much. In the last year, cracks had appeared in their marriage. Maybe he was bored with her, and wanted a younger model? She'd always feared growing older, ending up looking like a shriveled old prawn, ignored by anyone who really mattered. And this made her feel extremely isolated. At 12:30 p.m., James came out of the front entrance, wearing his smart suit, then walked to his sports car, which was parked at the side of the big building. He got in, and drove to the road in front, then turned left. Joanne followed him in her own car, always staying 2 vehicles behind, so he wouldn't recognize the car or the face at the wheel. After 15 minutes, he parked the car in front of a cafe, then got out. She watched him enter the building. Through the big window, Joanne observed him, sitting down. Within a minute, an attractive female in her 20s made her way through the entrance, joining him. Maybe, Joanne was getting the wrong idea. Could this young lady just be a work colleague? It had to be that, surely? They kissed passionately, her world crumbled. Joanne stared at her reflection in the mirror, dread ran through her. The lines seemed a lot deeper than previous, as they felt hot on her face. Was she losing her mind? What time was it? It wouldn't be long now. Then her cheating husband would arrive home, expecting his darling wife to be busy cooking delicious food for all of his pompous friends. Deep down, she loathed them, with all of their pompous opinions about how the world was so unfair, because they didn't get a promotion at work. Or moan about having to catch public transport with the disgusting working class, who in their opinion, were lower than them. Why do I look so horrible? She muttered. Joanne swallowed 2 tablets, hoping to feel a little better very soon. She then headed down the stairs to start the preparing of food in the luxurious kitchen. James came home later than expected, giving him not much time to get ready for his pompous party. As usual, he didn't seem very interested in what she had to say, which she now knew why. He peered at her, while Joanne stood over the hot oven, a disappointed look on his face. He said in a rude sort of way, "They'll be here in half an hour, please don't make me look stupid." He disappeared into the hallway and proceeded up the stairs. Joanne wanted to cry, but first she had a cringe-worthy gathering to get through. She stirred the saucepan, where the vegetables boiled. The turkey sat in the oven, cooking nicely, as she'd only checked it minutes before. Without keeping check on the time, Joanne dished everything up, removing the turkey from the oven. It smelt and looked gorgeous. From the front door, she heard people arriving, then she had an idea, which would embarrass her husband greatly, because he deserved it. Once everyone was gathered around the big table, Joanne with precision laid all the food out in front of them, so they could help themselves. James poured the wine. Everyone there seemed happy. "Lovely food," said the older gent, with the big red nose. Joanne turned to him and said, "Thank you. I will get the turkey now. It looks fabulous." The guests clapped their hands and laughed, while they enjoyed their drink. In the kitchen, Joanne felt nervous with what she was just about to do. But the bastard deserved to be humiliated in front of his friends. And she was bloody going to enjoy it. She placed the big bird down at the edge of the table and started carving the meat into thin slices. Joanne peered over at James, then said, "Tell everyone, James, what you have been getting up to today. I think your guests would be interested." Everyone looked at him, waiting for a response. "Please tell," said a woman with long dark hair. Her name was Catherine. James gave his wife an uncomfortable stare. Joanne stopped carving and looked at everyone, with an angry expression on her face, saying, "While I was buying food from the shop earlier, my kind, considerate husband was fucking some whore in a cheap motel, which was ideally called the Big Balls Place." 2 of the guests spat out their drinks. The other 5 just stared at them in complete silence. James got up from the chair, angry as hell, and he yelled, "Why are you doing this, Joanne? Why wait until now to say this? Look at you, you look like shit. What do you expect me to say? Just back off, before you spoil a nice evening with friends." Joanne started to laugh as she covered her mouth with her hand. James was furious and slapped her hard around the face, while he shouted, "It's all them fucking tablets you're taking, which is making you look 10 years older than your age. With your constant moaning and your ugly lined face, and this is why I've met someone else, so back off." Her face burnt from the lines. like a fire, which ravaged uncontrollably under her wretched skin. Joanne looked at him, the knife still in her hand. She took 2 steps towards her husband, replying, "The best way to stay young is to cut the negativity out of the body. To pure the rotten soul. Don't you agree, you complete asshole?" She raised the knife to her face, pushing the blade into her left cheek. Blood ran from the wound. The pain was unbearable, but at the same time, it was exhilarating. And while she laughed uncontrollably, she stabbed herself in the face several times. Red now covered her expensive dress. For the first time in ages, Joanne felt free. The anxiety had vanished into the hellish shadows of her fragile mind. She dropped the knife to the floor. Looking up, she noticed everyone had left, even James, her beloved. The man who had slowly drove her to madness. She staggered to a nearby chair, sitting down. Within a couple of minutes, distant sirens were heard. Her head throbbed, in a strange sort of way. Joanne thought back to the happiest day of her life, when she gave birth to 2 beautiful babies, then she smiled and closed her eyes for the last time. The end.